Hey everyone, welcome back to the news. We've got awesome stuff. Right, number one, a massive confirmation that I think is low-key one of the most important bits of news the game could have. We've got the new legendary questline, the new expansion's likely announcement date, a whole host of crazy Mythic Plus changes, the specter of Blizzard's past failings hanging over their head, and another confirmation of some new cosmetics that I'm pretty damn happy about, and of course, today's sponsor. Manscaped, they're back, balls swinging with a new time-limited deal where you can get the 4.0 Performer package for 20% off, plus their Toolshed travel bag and anti-chafing boxers for free. You'll get free shipping too with my link and code Warcraft. Now their mission is to reduce the amount of unfortunate accidents and to promote some hygiene. And of course their headliner is the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. It's got its anti-ball mangling ceramic blade, which is designed to reduce accidents, a really neat LED spotlight for obvious reasons, and IPX7 waterproofing with a 90-minute battery and a super handy LED monitor for the charge that also has a dead handy wireless dock. But that's not all. Of course, your balls do deserve the very best, which is why we've got the Crop Preserver and Crop Reviver, a deodorant and toner. Your balls and associated persons will thank you. But of course, what about your other 4 hairy holes? And that's why we've got the Nostril and Ear Hair Demolishing Weed Whacker 2.0 that's included in the kit, a cordless rechargeable trimmer with upgraded blades and motor over V1. So with all of that and the anti-chafing boxers, Manscaped will have you looking and feeling your best, which is absolutely how you should feel. So head to manscaped.com/Bellular Warcraft and use code Warcraft for 20% off the package, of course with free shipping, free gifts. Thanks to them for supporting the show. And with that said, balls. Manscaped, it's always fun when we get to do them. Okay, upgrades. Let's talk. This is great. Right, Chimes has done and Chimes appears to have been the lead developer, or at least the public-facing one, behind the new upgrade system that has been applied to gear game-wide. I will say that so far, when I talk to everyone in my guild, we're all bloody well thrilled. Every night we play together, it feels so much more rewarding. That is great, our characters are getting progressed, and we just feel like the game never wastes our time, like it sometimes would in the past. It has been transformational, and Chimes has talked about the initial response from Blizzard. So, we're going to start off with changes. Change number 1, moving to the currency tab is under serious consideration, and this is more likely than not what will happen for the 3rd season. Okay, so it'll be a bit more okay on our bag space, and I've got to say, between the Forbidden Reach and this new zone with our barter bricks and our barter boulders, my god, bag space, it is at a premium. Also, they are considering another change, where if you are capped on a current tier of crest, so let's just say you've earned all the worm crests you can, but you do content, it feels bad if you get nothing. So they're considering making it so that you get a lower, the lower tier of crest below what you're doing, just as a default if you've already capped. So at least you're getting something. So that's pretty good. And also, Chimes said that because we're talking about it in these terms, it does mean that the current plan seems to be to continue with the upgrade system. Now, this is something I'm humongously pro. I think that this has, in terms of playing the game, the feeling of being rewarded for playing the game, the best change to happen in years and years and years and years. You can throw your artifact power from Legion out the window. This is friggin' brilliant. Now, I know a lot of people have complained about complexity, oh, too many currencies, too many this, too many that. What I would say is this. The complexity, you only feel that when something is new, right? This is when it's new. And that basically means that the negative of the complexity, well, now that we basically all understand it, we've gotten over that. And if they just continue with this system moving forward, we won't have to deal with the complexity anymore, meaning that those downsides will evaporate. We'll have only the pluses, and then Blizzard will be able to refine and make the system better and better. And by the way, if you are talking about this in terms of it being complex, all I would say is, please look at Path of Exile, look at Destiny, look at Warframe, look at so many other games out there. This is not particularly complex in the grand scheme. Now, if you were to level a criticism at it, complexity would be the criticism. But in my view, if we're talking about slightly too many currencies, bag space, and a bit of complexity, well, that's a really good sign. Because we're not criticizing, oh, the game doesn't feel rewarding when I play it, and that makes me want to stop, which is the thing they've actually solved. So I think it will only get better from here, and do remember, this is an incarnation of the WoW team that's actually responsive to player feedback, which is pretty insane. And that means that I personally do believe that gearing is solved in World of Warcraft, and that they seem to have an early positive indicator, as evidenced by wanting to continue with this into Season 3, I do think that the future is basically super goddamn bright for the game. Because now, gearing's been solved, talents have been solved, and there's a blueprint for professions. A lot of the bases of the stuff that WoW cocked up for the best part of a decade, all those boxes are ticked, and now they can move forward and actually focus on things that will get people excited for the game. Because guess what? Joe in the street doesn't give a shit about the talent system. What Joe in the street wants to see is, that orc looks cool, that looks cool as fuck. Whoa, Kino, I want to play that, it's awesome. So that means they actually have time to focus on making cool new features and stuff that's actually exciting, instead of, getting the basics of the game right, which is the minds we've all been stuck in. As a final thing, a guildie of mine suggested that we could perhaps convert unwanted crests into flight stones. Do you have any thoughts on that? I think it's a pretty good idea. Some way to convert those resources that we have loads of, but don't have a need for, would be nice. At the very least, a whelpling crest, being vended for 5 gold does feel a bit pants. Okay. BlizzCon. Our next expansion reveal date has basically been confirmed. BlizzCon is back. It's confirmed for the 3rd and 4th of November, and based on every historical timing and how Blizzard want a big PR win, this is absolutely when we can expect to see the cool new shit. So I would expect big ticket items for Diablo 4, for Overwatch 2 content, and then for, maybe their big survival project, right? It's their other big game. Maybe we see a CG trailer, maybe a gameplay snippet, something like that. And as for World of Warcraft, be it Into the Void or whatever the hell it is, or Urel's gonna come and stomp everyone with the big blue hooves, which I know some of you degenerates are into, then this is when they'll tell us about it, right? I mean, who knows? We have a lot of speculations. They're basically all in 3 directions. There's all the Void stuff in Dragonflight that maybe makes us think we'll have a return of Ashara, Xalatath, maybe explore some Voidy business. There's also a ton of 1007 content that teased the other side of Azeroth actually making it into the game. We've got a mysterious place called Avalorn, we've got pirates that made it past the Veiled Sea and back, and a bunch of datamine ship models. We actually have a list of videos with evidence of all of these things on 2 topics, and the last, very Azeroth-focused topic, I believe we will cover that in a video next week, because you got the 20th anniversary of WoW, the 30th anniversary of Warcraft itself. I mean, if you're going to do something big, and you have 700 plus developers, that would be the time. At any rate, it's going to be a pretty goddamn exciting BlizzCon, actually. Before BlizzCon, we will likely know about patch 10.2, right? Maybe even 10.2.5, because the content pump from Blizz is insane. Okay, let's move on to other things then. We've got the new Legendary being available, and if my raid night that I've just finished is anything to go by, when you look at the little text box and it gives you like a little bark whenever somebody's made the Legendary, a lot of people are making that thing. So, the Evoker Legendary was real, you can get it now. We had no idea what was going on with it because some of it was data mined, but we found out all of this when Liquid got the world first kill on Mythic Sarkarath earlier in the week, and a cracked Titan gem dropped for their Evoker, Sanghelios, which I think is a reference to the home world of the Arbiter's alien people in Halo, maybe. Or maybe it's actually something else. Anyway, that doesn't matter. Blizzard clarified immediately, saying that the Mythic kill unlocked the item region-wide. So it's there in the US. With Echo's kill shortly after, it's there in the EU. The Cracked Titan Gem drops on all difficulties, it is very rare on LFR, and it slightly increases in drop rate on harder modes. There's a long quest chain attached to it that involves gathering expensive reagents, doing content to get specific items around 10-1's sort of content world. It's got crafting, it's got enlisting the aid of other players, blacksmiths, engineers, jewel crafters, and it's all to reform the Oathbinder's Cracked Gem into Naz'Juro, the Unbound Legacy. The final quest step is gnarly, in which Nozdormu takes the Evoker back in time to extract the Black Aspect essence from Deathwing in his final moments. It's pretty sweet. A shout out, of course, to Sanghelios for his #1 world first, which is a massive achievement, and for streaming the whole thing. And while we could argue that this is only for Evokers and only for lucky people, I really do think that having the world first kill unlock it for everyone else, right? Winning the race allows you to be the first person to do the content. It's a really cool Halo moment for the community. And now in your server, whenever people make this, use a little chime in chat. It makes it feel like an MMO, like things are going on. And I just think players being able to trigger events in the world, that is what MMOs are all about. And perhaps for Sanghelios, this is an experience that they won't forget because it's neat. Also, we haven't got a region-wide announcement in-game for a while, so just seeing the pop-up was cool. And there is one last touch. It being crafted actually turns on a pet. There are the motes of Naz'Juro around the world, and if you pick them up, you basically get it as a pet, which is really cool. But okay, there's more to talk about. The Blue Dragon Quest. We've talked about this since Steve mentioned it before 10.1's launch, and we've all been very confused about where it is. But now we've got the answer. Transparent time gating. Basically, they've been using the tech from the Dragonflight boats to good use, where we now actually have an in-game countdown for when the remaining Blue Dragons will arrive, and we'll get the promised quest with Kelagos' family drama coming to an end. Since this was not in PTR, we have no idea what to expect. All I can say for sure is you'll probably get a big old heartfelt chat between the remaining blues, and I'm pretty sure this Azure Finery set is the reward. But otherwise, we'll be enjoying it all blind, because it hasn't been in PTR, and that's a big win. Okay, let's continue with the big wins. Mythic Plus. Right. Mythic Plus is going super hard this season. As of recording, our guild, who usually don't do much M Plus at all, has got a stack of players already with Keystone Master. I think I've got 19 or 1890. I need 2 more dungeons till I get Keystone Master. And that's crazy. In week 2 of the expansion, this is not what any of our players would have been doing normally. And that really does mean something. The Blizzard, you've managed to convert a bunch of people who basically hated M+. We have been having an absolute blast between the mechanics and the readability being improved. Actually, the way that Blizzard have went back to so many of those old instances, they've improved the readability of mechanics, they've tuned them up, going even to the Vortex Pinnacle. I remember doing its original incarnation and seeing its new version is just so goddamn cool. It's really fun. We've got the affixes being nerfed so that you just don't have all this boring bullshit to deal with. And then the upgrade system, meaning that I'm getting rewards constantly for playing. I mean, I got shite drops all night, but I was regularly heading back and upgrading the bits of gear that I had with those worm crests. So I actually felt like all my friends were all progressing towards a goal, which for me will be 2500 Mythic Plus rating. We're all progressing towards that. I happen to be upgrading my gear in the process, and some of us are getting loot. They'll be great for our raid nights. Perfect marrying of all those things together. And it just keeps on getting better, because Blizzard are targeting super regular hotfixes, not just to solve balance problems, but also user experience problems. And that really bloody matters. So here's a summary of what's been going on since the last week. Brackenhide. Its mob's abilities, Raidstorm and Whirlwinds, have got more clear visual indicators. Same with Treemouth's Vines. There's also been a health nerf for him as well. The Halls of Infusion Gauntlet Tsunamis now move a bit slower. It's also a lot more clear, and the safe area is larger. Nasty heals from the Dragon Packs are now interruptible, and when you wipe and drop down these shortcuts, you get a 200% move speed buff until you enter combat. That's great. Now, Tharian's Lair, oh boy, it has those deadly avalanches. They've got a more clear visual, so you know when to look for damage. Though, I mean, damn, those are pretty speedy. You've got the second and last boss. Those are actually nerfed pretty nicely. Basically, it was all to do with what they were like on Tyrannical. So, yeah, the healing checks are still there, but they're not living nightmares. Nathalorus' last boss has also been fixed. These swirlies, these are supposed to end when the shield is broken, but if you broke it within 2 seconds, which you will do if you're actually knowing how to do the fight, then it would bug and continue. They fixed that. The number of swirlies has been nerfed too, which is quite nice, and as a reminder, you can use the shield breaker items while moving as of last week's changes, which is great. Uldaman, the second boss's totem damage has been nerfed because that was nasty on Tyrannical. Vortex Pinnacle has had the second boss's ticking damage and the whirlwind damage, which is the one you're supposed to take, reduced by 25%. So next week's Tyrannical won't feel like bullshit in those limited points where maybe things felt a bit overtuned. The last boss is also now more obviously casting Static Cling, which, by the way, it's the thing you need to jump for. Jump like 0.5 seconds before it casts and you won't get hit by it. Seriously, it's easy. Also, like with Halls, this dungeon's shortcuts also give you a 100% move speed boost until you're back in combat. And for me, it's especially those move speed boosts that, you know, it just takes the thing that felt really shitty, makes it good. It's just like how in the new raid, in the new raid, you pick up those black dragon concoctions. They give you the really fast move speed, so you can get back to the bosses really quick. The very intricate layout of the place means that, like, you're never really doing super long corpse runs. Like, Aberrus is also just such a well laid out raid that actually is respectful of your time, and it doesn't even have insane trash. So, on M+, these nerfs, they do make it easier, yes. But they're also very clearly hitting parts of where clearly, parts that were clearly harder than the rest of the dungeons, which makes the difficulty a lot more smooth. And that's okay because in Mythic Plus, the keystones make everything harder, and if you want that extra difficulty, you really want to push your rating, you can just keep on going, right? So actually being liberal enough with the nerfs on Mythic Plus is not really the worst thing in the world. I mean, hey, nothing's worse than getting halfway or most of the way through Mythic Plus doing just fine, but then a sudden difficulty spike that is not because of the dungeon itself, but is because of Blizzard's tuning, that just breaks a key. That feels bad. Every other change has basically been about making it a better experience. And the difference in just 1 week, the first week no less, is insane. So whoever in the team is basically just sitting there. I don't know if they're watching streams or just seeing all the telemetry, but they are making fast as fuck changes that are really good. So Keystone Hero, it is in the cards for me. Not just because of the rewards, but also because actually me and the crew have just been having fun in these dungeons. It's great. The WoW team have managed to get so much so right, and it does look like it's going to continue, which is good. And all of this good dungeon vibes really gets me pretty excited for the new patch with its mega dungeon. Okay, next thing. More customizations. Fuck yeah. There are more coming to the trading post. A whole new category, in fact. There are already categories for transmogs, sets, mounts, and pets, but they're adding a new one called customizations, and this has been found in 10.1.5's data mining. No specifics are available, so, don't get too excited too quickly. Some people expect these to be the dragon riding customizations, because selling character customizations might be a bit too specific. But imagine if there's Valpera hair on the trading post, or something. Like, that would be a bit of a waste for a slot for anybody who doesn't play that character, but dragon customizations, like, that would be pretty good. Maybe they could have, I don't want to say full customizations that are rivaling, like, a Mythic Raider or a Gladiator one, but some of those would be pretty cool if they do it reasonably. Okay, next then. The EU says yes. We've got another update on the thrilling Activision, Blizzard, King, Microsoft merger. It is still being blocked by the UK CMA, but one other hurdle has been cleared with the European Commission, under the legal requirement that Activision's big games are all automatically licensed for use on any cloud gaming service, and if that happens, the merger can go ahead. The CMA were bloody pissed about this. They had a big snarky thread on Twitter about what the EU sort of thought, but it does mean now that the CMA stands alone when blocking it. So we'll have to see if they hold to their principles or if an appeal process will go through. Who knows? Maybe they can just rejig their corporate structure, continue to put games out in the UK, and everybody who's not in the UK just gets, realistically, probably a better experience, which would be funny. Anyway, that's it for the news this week. We will likely have the Mega Dungeon pop up in PTR any time now, so that'll be sweet to see. All that's really left is just enjoy the game. And, there could be a little bit more. There's a tiny bit of news for you. Overwatch 2's cancelled PvE, which isn't really cancelled. The TLDR is that the huge, big PvE story campaign, right? The sort of big thing that they really showed off at BlizzCon 2019, dead! Gone! But instead, seasonal story missions and hero mastery missions are going to be coming basically as a part of the ongoing live service. So for a lot of the people that they didn't want to do Overwatch PvP, they didn't want to, get into the whole big maze of a live service, they just wanted a 10-hour Overwatch campaign with characters and story and world and things that made them excited to be really good at Tracer and then try out different talents for her and build your own Tracer and have cool combos with your friends. That's dead. So people are generally quite unhappy, and rather rightly so, because PvP is ostensibly why they did Overwatch, or PvE even, is ostensibly why they made Overwatch 2 in the first place, and why it seemed promising. And if you would like to hear all the juicy details on that, you can head over to our news channel where I covered it in depth when the news broke. So, go check that out. A big shout out to our sponsor. Go shave your balls, and don't cut them, I guess. Shave them safely. And tone them. Manscaped in the description. And yeah, go check out the Overwatch news. It's pretty interesting. All right, have a great week. And hey, if you're on the fence, hop into the game. If you're still in default Doomer mode from Shadowlands, just, give it a shot. The new upgrade system means that the game doesn't fuck you around anymore. Your time's respected. That's all we asked for, and now we've got it. Okay, see you later.